to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. It has been, I think, over a week, maybe 2 weeks to be exact since we put out an episode, but here we are once again. It is Saturday afternoon, just recording a quick pod here as promised to get some things off my chest, to wish everyone a happy holidays, right? In the summer, we can't say the specific holidays because not everyone maybe celebrates that holiday, and we don't want to ever offend anybody. So let's just say it as clear as we can. Happy holidays to everyone out there, whether it be Father's Day or I don't know, some of these, I lose track of what is a holiday these days. The entire month of June has been crazy for a lot of reasons, but we don't want to offend people, right? We don't want to offend people, and we just want to make everyone loving and happy and all this nonsense. And yes, that is how ridiculous it sounds around Christmas time as well. Why don't you just say the holiday you're talking about, Matt, or the specific? Yes, that is how stupid it is when you just take in all the different holidays. And I said this last year, but I'll probably say it every summer because, you know, there's Memorial Day, there's 4th of July, there's Father's Day, there's all these things. Happy holidays, everybody. That's how stupid it sounds. That's how stupid we sound as a society because we're terrified of offending someone who may not celebrate something. Anyway, you guys can tell I'm a little fired up, a little heated up from, I don't know, just life in general. Life is funny. And I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to talk about today. Just, some random things. I'm kind of in this mindset right now of just pursuing some goals in my life. There's been some changes that, life throws you curveballs sometimes, and you have to be able to adjust to them. And I talked about, kind of a relentless pursuit of things a few weeks ago. And, I'm still kind of in that mindset. One thing I miss about coaching was that you would put together a game plan, and not so much just the week of the game. Football specifically, kind of, it works a lot more than other sports, we'll say, because it's this week of preparation. But I miss coaching in the sense of you plan, you prepare, you think you're ready to go, you have a goal in the game plan, you have an idea maybe, but you also have kind of a contingency plan if things go south on you, right? If they counter punch this way, then what do we do, right? That's the beauty of coaching and the chess pieces and everything. And that's a big reason I love football so much, because it's such a what's the word? So not a simile. That's anyway, I'm all over the place. It's such a representation of life, really, and how you can make your plans. I'm 38 years old now. 38, is that right? Yeah, 38. I had a lot of goals and thoughts of where I thought I would be by this point in my life. And, some of the things I've gotten to and done, and other things I haven't. And I've also got to experience a ton of things that I never thought I would, and things that came out of nowhere. Many blessings in my life. It's important to count your blessings on a daily basis. Otherwise, you won't recognize them if you don't acknowledge them, on a daily basis. There's so much negativity going on around us, and it's cliche, but it's not always what you go through. It's how you respond to it, because you can't always control, right? You can't control. It's like driving. I'm on the road all day, right? Whether it's FedEx driving or Uber and Lyft driving, and I have no control over the people on the road. All I can do is how I respond, how I react to them. I get cut off, I get this, I do that. I probably do some reckless driving occasionally, or time or two. I mean, we're not perfect, right? I'm just throwing it out there. But in general, it's your response to it. It's a response to the adversity you face in life. And again, back to football, which is upcoming here in a few months. I'm excited about the Charge to Keep podcast I do, because you get to dive in weekly with the football team and see everything they're going through, and try to communicate that to the people, to the fans and everything. So that's a big passion of mine, and a big reason that the Get Home Safe podcast is kind of taken, to the sidelines a little bit here or there, but I'm going to try to do it again, maybe not weekly, but every few weeks, to get it out there, get some things off my chest, of course. But yeah, you cannot control what happens to you. It's all about that relentless pursuit, as I've talked about. I think about pitching also, right? I was a catcher And then I was an umpire for a great deal of time. And so you could kind of get a sense really behind the plate of when pitchers are trying to outsmart hitters and they're making adjustments too. And some guys would just get up there and throw as hard as they can. And maybe that's why those guys were paid, multi-million dollars or whatever, because they could throw at 98 or 100 or whatever and just get up there and do your thing. But some of the best pitchers I've seen over the course of my umpiring career was guys that really knew how to keep you off balance and changed speeds. And I think sometimes, at least I have in the recent few months, I've been caught up in just like, all right, I'm going 1,000,000 miles an hour. This is my goal, and I'm just going to be relentless. I'm going to go. I'm not going to stop. And then you almost forget, like, hey, sometimes you got to take a breath. Sometimes you need a brief break, not a big one, but just gather your thoughts. Maybe you're neglecting certain areas of your life. Like I told you guys before, I have the Rational Bible that I carry with me in my bag and use. My goal is every day to read a little bit of it at lunchtime. And then you get caught up in other things, something with your bank or something in your personal life and just other things going on. And before you know it, you look around, you're like, wait a minute, when's the last time I read that book I said I was going to read a few pages in? So again, you have to be able to make adjustments in life. Back to the coaching principle, right? We have a plan. But when the enemy, is coming at you in a different way, and you have to counter insurgency, all that good stuff. That's where I think really your character shows, because anybody can make a plan. It goes perfect. And there's just no problems. You just go forward and, all right, man, this is great. It's so easy to just write things down and they'll happen exactly how I want them. How many of you has life gone exactly as you planned? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you got married young to the right person that you met early and life just is perfect for you. Maybe you landed your dream job. You knew you were always going to be something and you pursued it to the best of your ability. And you were just like, I'm not stopping until I get to this. I achieve this. And God bless you people who are able to do those things. I've taken some chances in my life and it hasn't always worked out. And it's part of life. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not complaining that I'm on a canvas and I'm just going to knock down and I'm ready. I got to keep getting back up, but when you do pursue something to the best of your ability, when you embrace the challenges before you, I've said before, challenges are opportunities, right? There's going to be a time where you have to say, all right, take a breath. This isn't a big deal, or maybe this is a big deal, and managing, your expectations of things. I'm just venting. I'm throwing things out there because I've been in this mode, I should say, maybe it's something to do with the summer. I don't know. I always remember as a kid in the summer, it was just like this wait around period. We had daycare, we did stuff, we were at the house occasionally, but it was just like summers were fun, but in a way I liked the rhythm and routine of the school year, minus all the school stuff. So anyway, a big thing that I've been really implementing in my daily life is focus and finish. And what I mean by that is I talked about that 8th inning feeling probably a couple months ago, and how, oh, you're at the very end. Oh, it's time. Yeah, you're almost done. Right. But focus and finish for me, it brings me back down when I'm kind of like I'm getting overwhelmed or I'm getting tired or whatever I'm doing. And I just like, all right, let's focus, let's finish and complete what we are currently doing, and then on to the next thing. So just kind of an opening rant there of kind of some things that are going through my head, some thoughts and goals. And I'm not going to get specific into kind of the different things that I'm pursuing right now, but I do look back occasionally at when I'm thinking, like, I have such a tall mountain to climb. And I look back at some of the things that I've done. No, I don't like saying it like that I've done. I'm some great guy. No. But you look back at different times in your life. Like, I never thought I'd be a minor league umpire, right? I never thought I would play a musical instrument, right? I picked that up pretty well. Probably some good genes from my parents, but there's so many things I didn't have this confidence in. And I was just like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do that. Graduate college. That was another one. Full-time job. How am I going to do that? Podcasting, starting this. And it's just like, when you take a breath, you look back at, again, not your accomplishments necessarily, but just things that you didn't think you could do that you ended up doing and doing okay at, maybe getting a C+, as far as they go, not necessarily excelling. It's definitely a confidence booster. And sometimes you need someone to even pat you on the back or kick you in the rear to be like, hey, you got no reason to not be confident, or someone to, really jumpstart you and be like, it's time to pick it up. Like, you've messed around long enough. Let's get going. So I hope you guys understand that stuff there, as I'm just kind of opening here and getting rolling. But again, happy holidays, everybody. Anyway, hope everyone had a great Father's Day and 4th of July in a week and a half. Let's see. A week from Tuesday, the 4th of July, which we still celebrate in this country, I'm pretty sure. Probably the most important holiday of the summer. And that's all I'll say about that. Looking forward to a patriotic episode on the Charge to Keep podcast, and then a big, hopefully one we'll do here on the Get Home Safe podcast. Back to the book reading that I was talking about. Reading a book for me is a tall task. I mean, I can't tell you how many books I've started and didn't finish. But when you reach that, like, for me, it's a halfway point. You reach a halfway point, it's like, oh, wait a minute. We're on the back nine here. Look at, you read all this already, and you pretty soon you're going to have less to read than more to read. For me, that is the big turning point of turning that midway point page. I don't know how you guys are. Some of you guys just, read, but I'm committed to trying to do a little bit more of that more often here. And we'll see if it helps my mental side of things or whatever. So good to be back. I do want to say something about, this whole submarine thing that happened last week. Quite a tragedy. I can't imagine, being trapped in a submarine underwater, not knowing that help's coming. And hopefully, as it sounds, that everything, the submarine just from whatever exploded, whatever you want to say it, and it was pretty quick and painless. But I don't know, as far as thrill seekers go, I can't. I mean, they're sure we're gonna go see the Titanic in a submarine. Like, all right, fine. Like, but I've always been like weighing the risk, high reward type of guy, or high risk, low reward, like skydiving. So we'd be like, you gotta skydive sometime. I'm like, yeah, that might be fun, but at the same time, I'm like, one thing goes wrong, I don't know. I've never really liked roller coasters. I got better at that stuff later in life, but as far as like pursuing excitement, I don't know. I think a lot of people lack enthusiasm and excitement in something in their lives today. And so they'll look for anything instead of kind of going back to the basics. For me, it's, getting back involved in church, staying consistent with my work, putting in even more time at work, just kind of, again, back to pursuing goals and being a part of a team. And I think being a part of this podcast, that's been something where I've been able to release a lot of energy and talk to you guys. And so for me, that is a level of excitement, even though I'm talking into a camera and a microphone right now. No one is looking at me directly, but I know later on there will be, right? And so for me, that has been a way for me to kind of get a sense of community. I still get people who talk to me about the podcast, and it's really great to do this. Really got a ton of feedback and things from the Charge to Keep podcast. And most of you who watch this, of course, I'm sure follow that. But it's just been so fulfilling, and people always, oh, thank you so much. But it's like, man, are you kidding? It is such an honor and a privilege to do that. So I think we all need a sense of community, a sense of team. That is something I loved growing up, was being a part of a group of people that are pursuing something. I also think that there's a fine line between kind of being that team player and that level of being, Mr. Independent or whatever. You got to establish yourself as a sense of like independence. You can't just rely on other people all the time. I know in some ways I've been there, like, hey, help me with this, help me with that. And then at some point you got to be like, no, it's actually up to you to put your best foot forward and accomplish it. So I think in life, as I've seen here in the past few years, like, there is a level of teamwork that I love. And it's kind of, I think, why I enjoy my job at FedEx so much, because it is a team of us working together for a common goal and trying to provide a service for people. But at the same time, as part of that teamwork, it's up to you independently to do your job, right? Much back to football, back to that analogy. Like, all right, we're a team. It's 11 guys who have a goal, and we all have to work together and trust the guy next to you to independently do their job. So I do think there is a sense of it's a fine line, right? The whole concept of a team player, of working together, and independence. Because it's something I want to be more in my life, is more independent, just in general, right? No matter what it is. And again, I've gotten kind of like a later start in life in some ways, So it's just, it's taking some catching up or whatever. But I do, it's the goal of like, when you step back and you're like, wait a minute, it's up to me to determine, my future, to determine what I can achieve. There's too many people in this world that are like, well, who's going to help me? When's I can't do that without help, or I can't. You're going to get help if you faithful and you reach out for it, or you put your best foot forward. And so these are things that I've learned. Here I am in my late 30s trying to figure out this crazy game of life. But you can't get help from others until you take that best foot forward. It's up to you. And maybe it's not just one step, it's multiple steps. And you just keep chomping along and trying to be your best self. And that's something I'm currently trying to do in a lot of different ways. Again, as far as specifics go, well, for those of you who know me, you kind of know that life is funny and hits you weird sometimes. So thanks to all of you guys for listening. Still lots more to talk about today. Football is around the corner, not just with high school stuff, but with college and the NFL. Excited for that. I want to talk a little bit more about baseball ejections and as far as umpires. I think one thing I talked about last week was, ejecting guys when they're walking away, or how do you know what is? I saw that in another clip the other day. Oh, the umpire, he heard what they said in the dugout. Rabbit ears. It's just like, oh, it's so annoying. It's so annoying to hear that stuff, literally, pun intended. But I want to talk about, ejecting players when you miss a call, because a lot of times fans are like, well, how could they eject him? They're the one that missed the call up. He missed the call and he threw him out. Okay. You're kind of getting the raw end of the deal. Again, sometimes managers want to get ejected over a bad call because they're standing up for their team or whatever, and there's not much else to do in the dugout. But I want you to think back to in a relationship, for instance, not necessarily a guy, girl. I'm talking like platonic relationships or relationship with your parents or whatever, your kids. It's like when you've been wrong and you maybe admit you're wrong, or you've made a mistake, but then someone just keeps harping on you about it. And you're like, wait a minute, it's two things, right? You might say, hey, I was wrong. I messed it up. All right. Like, you can't always say that on a baseball field, like, hey, I'm sorry or whatever. But it's like that at home when you get kind of this like, hey, we've already talked about the fact that I messed up here. Like, you're going to continue to hammer me. And sometimes it's this concept of, I think I'm right, even though I'm wrong. Type it, like when I've missed calls before and I was like certain I got it right. I'm like, oh, this guy's crazy. What is he talking about? And then there's many times that I was like, oh yeah, I definitely missed that. But you can't always admit, hey, I missed it. Sorry, coach. Sometimes you could if you got a decent relationship. But if you do say that to the coach or manager and then he blows up on you, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I was just honest with you, and this is how you're going to treat me. So there's so much more to the game of baseball and the manager, umpire, player, umpire relationships out there. But yeah, when someone keeps harping on you about a mistake you made, what choice do you have than to quote unquote eject, right? If the guy, because where does it end? Are you saying that if a guy misses a call that you should be able to say whatever you want? I don't find that to be true. It's kind of like, again, I always talk about police work, and it's umpiring, officiating is nowhere near what police work is. But it's kind of a natural comparison, I guess, as far as like dealing with people and authority and this and that. And I have a ton of cop friends that I kind of talk to and share stories with, but it's kind of like when a cop did something wrong. All right, they were wrong, they're reprimanded or disciplined or whatever. But then you kind of go on like continuing to like hammer them, or like, or their partners or the other cops in the community. It's like, wait a minute, a guy made a mistake, a guy did something stupid or whatever. You can't, if you're going to continue to harp on us or assault us or whatever, we're going to have to respond at some point, whether we were right or wrong. And so there's that. I know that's a little long-winded as far as ejecting players and managers when you miss a call. But just know that just because you miss a call on the baseball field, or in officiating, in football officiating or something, like you miss a call. All right, you said your piece. At some point, you got to move on. You can't just continue harping about it, because that is continuing to belabor the issue at hand. So just because a call is missed doesn't give you carte blanche to say what you want. There's still law and order on the baseball field, and sometimes people don't like the attitudes of those issuing law and order, and that's fine. They're human beings. You do not want robots. Trust me, the rise of the machines, artificial intelligence, it's coming. It's coming. Pretty soon I'll be able to push a button and this podcast will do itself, and you guys would probably like that way better anyway. But you don't want robot shortstops. You don't want artificial intelligence umpires. That will be so boring. And plus, what's the point? I mean, we already have machines at McDonald's and these factories and all the cars that drive themselves. Do you think that's good for society? I sure don't. I think people are important, and the ability for people to have jobs out there is important as well. So, no, we've had enough with technology. We need to be the ones operating it. Otherwise, we're looking at Terminator 2, man. I mean, I saw a meme of it showed the young John Connor from Terminator 2, and it was like John Connor looking at everyone with all of this artificial intelligence stuff going. It was pretty funny. Thought I would share that with you guys. So another thing that's going on right now as I record this, a College World Series is in the 3-game series final. LSU against Florida. Game 1 is tonight. Game 2 on Sunday at like noon, I think, our time. And then game 3, if necessary, will be Monday night. Yeah, 4:00 our time. So we're going to see another champion out of the SEC. You know, for a while, I was really annoyed at all these SEC successes, mostly in football, but it spilled over into baseball. And one thing I came to terms with really was like, you know what? These guys care more and they spend more money and the fans care more. And I'm kind of like, I used to be dead set against it. Now I kind of respect it. I'm like, maybe it's time everybody else steps up their game. Don't get me wrong. I would love a Cal State Fullerton or some West Coast team to make a run, and the little engine that could, and take down these giants. I love that David versus Goliath story all the time, but you got to respect the teams and programs and regions of the country that care more and put more into the resources and things to compete at the highest level. So to the Florida Gators and the LSU Tigers, I salute you. I applaud you. The College World Series has been great. I haven't been able to watch as much of it as I'd like. But just like that, man, you blink and in just about a week, you go from 8 teams to 2 teams and a national championship to be decided here in late June. A great time of year in Omaha, Nebraska. I hope to get back very, very soon. Man, I tell you, when I went there in 2008, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life at the old Rosenblatt Stadium. And I've always wanted to get back, and it's now at this downtown ballpark, and prices are way more expensive. But I've been to great college football games, NFL games, hockey, boxing. I've been to all kinds of events, and I still put the College World Series up there. It's just like this, I don't know, the environment. It's like there's a pureness to it. It's young guys with full of energy playing a great game, and the fan bases are a lot of fun. So good luck to those 2 teams, another SEC champion. But what can you say, man? If as they say, it just means more. I fought it for a long time thinking, the SEC, anybody but the SEC. But I don't know. I may have had a change of heart and said, you know what? It just means more. If it means more to you, then all right. God bless you, man. It sure beats caring, not caring as much. We see a lot of that on the West Coast as far as athletics go. I think we saw a lot of that during the COVID restriction stuff as well. So I have newfound respect for these regions of the country that really prioritize their athletics and, again, care more. And there are fanatics that come out of the fan bases, but that is what fan stands for, is short for. So anyway, we'll see what happens after that. After the College World Series, man, all we got is boxing, some MMA. We're waiting around until late August, early September for some college football, and then the NFL starts even a few weeks after that. So I am honestly been very busy. I'm trying to, again, why I'm kind of slow on the podcast here. Got a lot of things going on, and I may even, I don't know, I'm in just work mode. I have some goals that I want to do, and I may even, I say it now here in June, but I may even be working through the football season a little bit, just to show you guys how kind of crazy committed I am at right now with a lot of different things going on. It's just like some things are bigger than your fan bases and or your fanhoods, I guess. And again, I got to experience pretty much everything I've wanted to as far as a fan goes. So I'm trying to take a step back and just be more, I don't know, more present in the moment. But I say that now, but once September 11th hits or whatever, September 10th, whenever the NFL season starts, I'm sure I'll be on pins and needles, just chomping at the bit, ripping all my fingernails off like I always do because my Rams are letting me down or something like that. But so goes life in the crazy world of sports. As a driver, as an Uber driver, I do want to say this, guys, and I've trained myself to always check the back seat, give a good quick scan after someone gets out. Just doesn't matter the time of day. People are always leaving stuff in my car: keys, glasses, phones, wallets. The passport was left back there one time, and most of this stuff gets returned. Most, if not, did all of it got returned. Yeah. I take pride in returning stuff to my customers, but I recently left something in the back of a car as a passenger myself, and that's a nerve-wracking feeling when you're trying to find something. Like, where did it go? And just it's where it is, but you don't, and it's just lost and found. I hate losing things, and I found that if you place things in the same spot every time, all the time, you have a less chance of losing them. But if you guys are taking Uber and Lyft out there, always scan the back seat, no matter the state that you're in, not the landmass state, the state of your physical state. Always give a glance in the back seat as just my little advice here for you guys out there. Let's see what else. Talked about that, talked about this, talked about this and that. This is something it was at when I was in the apartment in Covina years ago, before I went out to Eastvale. We moved into this really nice apartment, my roommate and I, and we were just like, man, this is great. I can't believe we got this place. It was awesome. And the first morning we woke up, there was just this massive sound outside, 7 a.m. We're like, what is that? So we look, and right next to us is like this thrift store, and there's the garbage men were there just banging these dumpsters around, and it was loud. It felt like a war zone. And so I was like, okay, this must have been dumpster day, but it wasn't just that. It was every single day, including Saturdays. And we asked our neighbor who like we were new, we're like, hey, is this every morning? He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, no, we just signed a lease for this place and we checked it out during the day. Didn't realize that, we should have checked it out early morning. Anytime you're scoping out a new place, it's good to go there at different times. Check it out maybe multiple times, nighttime, morning time, just to kind of be like, is there anything crazy going on here? And I don't know what it is. Every place I've gone, and I've heard other people complain about this, dumpsters and weed whackers. You only hear these at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. There must be a typo, something on the label that says these can only be operated during certain hours of the day, and those hours are between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. Or whatever it is. And maybe, I don't know, every neighborhood I've lived in, there's something like that where you're just like, why is it this hour? There's got to be a place on this planet where this stuff isn't being done at this specific hour. Now, as a early morning guy now, it's not as big of a deal because I'm trying to get up before the sun rises and things. But my goodness, what is that? Is that a California thing? I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. It's just crazy how every time I hear noise outside early, I'm like, why are they doing that right now? And you could say, well, they got to do it somewhere right now, but why is it always where I'm at? I feel like very narcissistic here, but it's always seems to be in places that I am at. Does anyone else suffer through these things, or I must be the only one? I vent to you guys, and I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that these things happen to. So anyway, yeah, and this must happen to me only, but I don't know. If you guys have some ideas to throw my way, some topics you'd like me to address, please throw them my way. You can contact me through the various social media platforms, of course. But our email also is gethomesafepod@gmail.com, I believe. I should know these things. Gethomesafepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys because I'm trying to have little shorter shows here, maybe 30 minutes or so, where I just vent away and then move on with our daily lives because everyone's busy. People got things going on, especially in the summertime. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm going to try to get another guest or two on here in the near future, but for the most part, just going to be me rambling away as I often do. One other thing I'll say about pursuing goals. I've talked to you guys before about being specific, right, with your goals, because sometimes God will say, okay, this is your goal. All right. And it's, it's kind of like that when you make a wish to the genie, even though God isn't, isn't a genie. It's like when you make that wish and you get granted it, but it's not exactly right, or something was like left out of it. A great example of this is a movie called Bedazzled. It's with Brendan Fraser and Liz Hurley. And I think he's getting 7 wishes or whatever from the devil, who is Liz Hurley. And every time he wishes for something, it's just not exactly what he wanted. I want to be super masculine or whatever. And he's some professional athlete, but then there's an issue. He's like, no, I want to be more sensitive. And then he's this like wuss of a guy. Like, it's pretty funny to see. A little dark humor, of course, maybe not for everyone, but that's something I've always thought about as far as being specific in your goals, and being stubborn as well. I mean, being stubborn, not giving up. And there was something I heard years ago from Kellen Winslow, the great NFL player, Kellen Winslow Sr., the dad who played for the San Diego Chargers. And there was this amazing playoff game in 1981, 82, I think, down in Miami, where the Chargers ended up beating Miami in overtime, I believe. And Kellen Winslow, tight end for the Chargers, played the game of his life. And he had this, he had touchdown catches, I believe. He laid some blocks. He blocked a field goal, a game, potentially game-winning field goal. He made 2 tackles on the same play of after an interception. It was just stuff like that. And I remember hearing him interviewed, and it was a really brief exchange that he had on this NFL Films I was watching years ago. And this is when I was a kid, but it's still stuck with me. And he said the night before the game, Saturday night, they went to chapel, and they were talking about if God cared who won football games. And they agreed that God didn't care about who won football games, but it was up to them. I'm trying to remember this specifically, but it was up to them as believers in God to give him everything, absolutely everything they had. And that's truly what God would care about, not always the outcome. And so he went to bed that night wondering truly if he had given everything, every ounce of energy and effort that he had. And I say that now because I think that there's times in our lives where we think we're trying hard, right? We're trying our very best. My dad always said that, Father's Day being last week or whatever, but my dad always was like, was that your best? And he was on it. He just wanted us to be honest. Is a B-? Is that your very best? And so that's always stuck with me. But as you kind of grow older, you go through different things. I find myself asking that question: was this my very best effort? Or I'm pursuing this goal, but am I pursuing it the very best? Can I give more? I think we can always give a little bit more, right? Just a little more, a little here, there. Maybe it's 1% more, 0.5% more. Maybe it's shifting your focus to something else so that you try, that gets fixed before this. And I'm being vague, of course, but I think it's relatable that no matter what you're doing in life, whether it's your job or your goals or your relationships, personal or with families, it's like, are you doing it to the very best of your ability? And you have to look in the mirror. I think mirrors still work, right? As they say, you look in the mirror and be like, self-analysis of yourself, and be like, what am I doing well? And what do I need to do better at? And I'm trying to do that on a daily basis. And my mirror at times is this podcast, just coming in and looking in the screen here at myself, talking to you guys. So that's what I'm doing. Put myself out there and telling you that I want to do better. I've told you repeatedly, I want to do better with the podcast, being more consistent and getting it out, but it doesn't always happen. But that is because I'm focusing on some other areas of my life that I think need to be picked up on and work a little harder at. So other areas suffer, right? It's a give and take, pull and push and pull, whatever the phrase is. And so I hope that you guys got something from today's pod, me rambling away, being vague and everything, but I wanted to get something in here on this fine Saturday afternoon for you guys. This will probably be out Monday morning or so. And who knows, we could have a college baseball national champion by then, or we'll be anticipating a game 3, a rubber game, a deciding game on Monday night for the national championship between LSU and Florida. That's going to be it for me, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this very short edition of the Get Home Safe podcast. I'm always looking for ideas and thoughts from you guys. So if you want me to talk about something or you want my take on something, please reach out to me and I will definitely throw it out there. But I'm just kind of in a pursuing goal goal-oriented mode right now, and sharing it with you guys to keep me honorable, keep me on top of things. And I think if we ask ourselves, are we really trying our very best in a certain area? If you're really honest with yourself, I think you'll get an honest answer. And so for me, there has been some areas that I've definitely needed to pick it up a little bit. And that is the plan going forward. Have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Although you'll be hearing this Monday morning, so your weekend's already over. But anyway, that's the beauty of podcasting, that the element of time sometimes is lost between us. I will be back, I hope, next week. But if you haven't done so already, please check out the Charge to Keep podcast. A Charge to Keep is what the podcast is called, about Rio Hondo prep football. The season starts in August, but of course, there are episodes weekly right now talking to various guests and contributors to the program. That is a deep passion of mine. And if the Get Home Safe podcast maybe isn't as entertaining for you anymore, you got that one to check out and to put into your busy schedule. See you next week, guys. Happy holidays once again. And we'll be back before you know it, probably next week with a 4th of July episode, if all goes well. See you then, guys. And as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.